want to warn you of some graphic images you're about to see in this story. James Acker was 85 years old and suffering from dementia when he was brutally beaten in his long-term care home bed. Now, we have learned tonight that that home had been cited several times for not being able to prevent abuse or assault, and on Sunday, Acker succumbed to his injuries.
My father was murdered, and no one's accountable, and it's disgusting. This is my mom and dad together with my son.
Tammy Carbino is trying to focus on the happy days she shared with her father, not his unexpected death.
Definitely am daddy's girl, that's for sure.
James Acker was a long-term care resident at St. Joseph's Villa in Dundas. In January, he was attacked in his bed by another resident who suffered from dementia.
He went into my father's room and just started beating him, pounding. The nurse said that the resident was pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding his face.
The beating ended with a bruised and bloody Acker still laying in bed. And now, the home's handling of this incident is being criticized in a Ministry of Health report, which notes proper procedures weren't followed, including no initiation of a code white, which could have called all staff to the room through a PA system.
No whistles were blown, no alarms went off.
The investigation also found that the home failed to ensure residents were protected from abuse by anyone.
This attack should never have happened. There was so many, apparently there was several times in 2016 where this other resident exhibited behaviors and patterns that needed to be addressed that weren't.
Jane Meadus of the Advocacy Center for the Elderly says part of the problem is the system itself.
Even though the home knew or ought to have known that something like this could happen with a resident because there was a history, they would not have a fine related to that as long as they report it to the ministry.
She's been working in the field for 2 decades and says she can only recall one fine being issued in that time.
We don't have a system that really looks at and addresses the ongoing problems in the long-term care homes.
And those numbers are climbing. In 2013, there were 3,179 reported cases of neglect and abuse in Ontario homes. The next year, that number climbed to over 3,600. And many of those are repeat offenders. For example, St. Joseph's Villa was cited for failing to prevent abuse several times over the last few years with little consequence.
The home is entirely negligent and doesn't do anything. They leave it to the civil system, and most people don't go that way. And so there's no consequences other than these reports and being told to fix things.
St. Joseph's president says they take those reports seriously and adds that since Acker's attack, they're increasing security walkabouts and secured units, further education for staff, installation of security cameras, and increased surveillance monitoring ability.
This is my dad and I in Nova Scotia for his 80th birthday.
Tammy says she doesn't want this to happen to anybody else and is trying to remember her father for the man he was, not for the suffering he endured.
He was really happy, and my mom went to the villa every day. They spent 2 to 3 hours together every day. He attended all the dances. Just 2 days before, they were at a dance together.
Now, while we were interviewing Tammy, Hamilton police did call her, and a detective told her over the phone that they were upgrading his investigation into a homicide. Now, we called Hamilton police repeatedly today to get official confirmation. They have not yet responded to our calls or emails.